Welcome back to Level Up with Rachel Fox, where average comes to die. If you just opened this episode while soaking in a lavender-scented bath, face mask on, soft playlist playing, and a journal open to the page titled, My Sacred Boundaries, do me a favor. Pause the video. Get out of the tub. Towel off. Because Epictetus is about to walk into your bathroom, look at the entire setup, and calmly inform you that you have turned self-care into a masterclass in soft living. Yes, the ancient Stoic slave who once had his leg broken by his master, who taught philosophy while still legally owned his property, who lived with almost nothing and still considered himself free, that guy just reviewed your weekly ritual of foam rollers, bath bombs, guided meditations that tell you you're already enough, and Instagram captions about protecting your energy, and he is not impressed. In this episode, we're going to do something most self-improvement content refuses to do. We're going to stop flattering the version of you that stays stuck and start training the version that doesn't need saving. We're bringing in Epictetus's hard-edged wisdom, connecting it directly to Mortimer Adler's no-excuses approach to mental ownership, and building a practical system that turns passive comfort-seeking into active power. No soft language. No, you're doing your best. Just the truth that actually moves the needle. Let's get into it. First, a quick reality check on the man himself. Epictetus was born a slave in Hierapolis around 50 AD. His name literally means acquired. He was owned. His body was not his own. At some point his master, either by accident or by cruelty, broke his leg so badly that Epictetus walked with a permanent limp for the rest of his life. He was later freed, started teaching philosophy in Rome, got kicked out by the Emperor Domitian along with every other philosopher, and ended up teaching in Nicopolis. He never wrote anything down himself. Everything we have comes from his student Arrian, who recorded the discourses and the short, brutal Enchiridion, the handbook. This is not a man who had a self-care Sunday. This is a man who looked at people complaining about their circumstances and said essentially, you are upset because you are trying to control things that are not up to you, and you are neglecting the one thing that is completely up to you, your own mind and your own choices. Now look at modern self-care culture through that lens, and it starts to look almost comically fragile. You wake up on Sunday, you light the expensive candle that smells like inner peace and sandalwood. You run a bath with bath bombs that turn the water into a pastel science experiment. You put on a face mask that costs more than Epictetus's entire yearly food budget. You open an app, and a soft female voice with perfect vocal fry tells you to breathe into your heart space and release what no longer serves you. Then you journal about your boundaries, your triggers, your need for rest, and how the world is simply too much right now. You post a photo of the setup with the caption, "Protecting my energy today," and get 47 hearts from people doing the exact same performance. Epictetus would look at this and say, "Congratulations. You have successfully arranged the external world into a temporary spa experience while leaving the only thing that actually matters, your faculty of choice, your judgments, your character, completely untrained. You have treated yourself like a delicate houseplant that will wilt without weekly emotional watering, instead of training yourself like a human being who can remain free even when the external conditions are harsh." That is the core of the problem. Most modern self-care is sophisticated procrastination wearing a silk robe. It feels good. It looks good on camera. It generates content. But it does almost nothing to strengthen the one muscle that determines whether you stay stuck or level up, the ability to govern your own mind. Epictetus drew a clean, brutal line that most of us spend our entire lives trying to blur. Some things are up to us, some things are not. Up to us, our judgments, our desires, our aversions, our impulses to act or not act. In short, everything that is the product of our own reasoned choice, not up to us, our body, our property, our reputation, other people's opinions, the weather, the economy, whether someone likes us, whether the algorithm favors our content, whether the face mask actually reduces pores. Every time you pour energy into controlling or cushioning the things that are not up to you, while neglecting the one domain that is completely yours, you make yourself weaker. That is the opposite of self-care. That is self-abandonment dressed up as luxury. This is where Mortimer Adler walks into the conversation and drops his own truth bomb. Adler spent his life arguing that most people never truly own their own minds because they never learn how to read properly. They collect books the same way modern people collect self-care products. They own dozens of self-help titles, underline a few inspiring sentences, feel momentarily elevated, and then go right back to the same patterns. Adler called this out decades ago. Most self-help, he said, functions like patent medicine, promising universal cures in regular doses while delivering very little lasting transformation. The real work is harder. It requires active analytical engagement. You don't skim. You fight the book. You mark it up. You argue with it. You synthesize. You apply. You return to it again and again, until the ideas become part of your operating system. Connect the two thinkers and the diagnosis becomes clear. Modern self-care culture is the emotional equivalent of the shallow reading Adler despised. It is passive consumption of comfort. It is skimming the surface of your own life and calling it growth. Real self-care, according to both the Stoic slave and the 20th century educator, is the disciplined ownership of your mind. It is uncomfortable, it is not photogenic, and it actually works. So what does the practical system look like? What did Epictetus actually teach people to do instead of lighting candles and journaling about their energy? Here is the system, stripped of fluff and ready to use. First, practice the dichotomy of control every single day until it becomes automatic. Start your morning not with a guided meditation that tells you you're enough, but with a short, ruthless inventory. Write down, or simply think through, 3 things that are currently bothering you or that you are trying to control. Then sort them. Body issues, other people's behavior, outcomes, reputation, external events. All of that goes in the not up to me column. Your judgments about those things, your response, your effort, your character in the face of them, that goes in the up to me column. Then deliberately withdraw your emotional investment from the first column and pour it into the second. Do this for 30 days and you will feel the difference. The constant low-level anxiety that most people try to soothe with bath bombs starts to lose its grip because you stop feeding it. Second, practice Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is the opposite of toxic positivity and the opposite of soft self-care. Once a day, deliberately imagine something going wrong. Not in a catastrophic spiral, but with clear eyes. Imagine the project failing. Imagine the criticism coming. Imagine the body breaking down. Imagine the relationship ending. Then ask, if this happens, what is still up to me? How will I respond with virtue instead of panic? This is not pessimism. This is inoculation. The person who has already rehearsed difficulty is far less shaken when it arrives. Compare that to the person whose entire self-care practice is built around never feeling difficulty in the first place. One builds anti-fragility. The other builds fragility and then markets it as wellness. Third, train voluntary discomfort on purpose. Epictetus and the other Stoics regularly practiced poverty, cold, hunger, and physical hardship, not because they hated pleasure, but because they refused to become enslaved to comfort. You do not need to sleep on the floor or wear the same cloak every day, but you can deliberately choose the harder option several times a week. Take the cold shower. Skip the unnecessary purchase. Sit with boredom instead of immediately reaching for the phone. Work out when you don't feel like it. Read the difficult book instead of the easy one. Every time you voluntarily choose the slightly harder path, you expand your capacity. Every time you default to the softest available option, you shrink it. Soft living is not neutral. It is training in the wrong direction. Fourth, own your judgments the way Adler wanted you to own a book. When an emotion arises, irritation, envy, anxiety, self-pity, do not immediately soothe it or journal it away as valid. Interrogate it. What judgment produced this feeling? Is the judgment true? Is it useful? Is it under my control? Most of the emotional weather we try to manage with self-care products is the direct result of unexamined judgments. Change the judgment and the weather changes. This is the real inner work. It is not always pleasant. It does not always feel nurturing, but it produces a mind that is actually free. Fifth, measure progress by freedom, not by comfort. At the end of each week, ask one question. Am I more free than I was last week? Not, did I rest enough? Not, Did I honor my boundaries? Not. Did I feel nurtured? Freedom. Did I respond to difficulty with more clarity and less reactivity? Did I waste less energy on things outside my control? Did I act more in accordance with the kind of person I claim to want to be? If the answer is yes, you are doing real self-care. If the answer is that you felt very soothed, but remained just as reactive and dependent on external conditions, then you had a nice spa day and nothing more. This system is not complicated. It is just uncomfortable. That is why almost nobody does it consistently. It is much easier to buy the bath bomb, light the candle, and tell yourself you are practicing radical self-love. It is harder to sit with the truth that radical self-love sometimes looks like refusing to indulge the weaker version of yourself. Let's be precise about what we are rejecting and what we are not. Rest is not the enemy. Recovery is not the enemy. Enjoying a bath is not a moral failure. The problem is when comfort becomes the primary strategy for dealing with life. The problem is when self-care becomes a sophisticated way of avoiding the training that would make you harder to break. The problem is when the weekly ritual of softness becomes a substitute for the daily practice of strength. Epictetus put it bluntly, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastery does not come from being endlessly gentle with every passing mood. It comes from training the ruling faculty, the part of you that chooses, judges, and acts until it is reliable under pressure. Adler would add that you cannot master what you refuse to examine carefully. The same people who fill their shelves with unread self-help books are often the same people who fill their Sundays with unexamined soothing rituals. Both are forms of passive consumption. Both leave the mind essentially unchanged. So here is the challenge for this week. Cancel one soft self-care ritual. Replace it with one deliberate training session. Instead of the long bath and the gentle meditation, take a cold shower, and then sit for 15 minutes doing the dichotomy of control on the three things currently dominating your mental bandwidth. Instead of journaling about how overwhelmed you feel, interrogate the judgments that are producing the overwhelm. Instead of protecting your energy by withdrawing, practice directing your energy more precisely toward what is actually up to you. Do this for 7 days and report back, not with how it felt in the moment, but with whether you feel slightly more free. Most people will stay soft. They will keep collecting the products, the apps, the rituals, and the language of self-care, while remaining just as reactive, just as dependent on external conditions, and just as stuck. That is the average path. Average comes to die on this channel for a reason. You now have the alternative. Epictetus already lived it under far harsher conditions than most of us will ever face. Adler already mapped the intellectual version of the same ownership. The only question left is whether you will keep performing softness or start training strength. Stop pampering the version of yourself that stays stuck. Start training the one that doesn't need saving. If this episode hit a nerve, do the one thing that actually compounds. Share it with someone who is still treating their mind like a houseplant. Subscribe if you haven't already. And tell me in the comments, what soft ritual are you replacing this week with real training? Level up. Average dies here. See you in the next one.